Hello, Jenna. I'm here. I'm Dr. Oskin, and one of the favorite parts of my job is just celebrating a child who's flourished and done so well. And so I have the privilege and gratitude to talk to you today about your daughter's journey and her working with us. And maybe if you could tell us a little bit about, what things were like when you brought your daughter to us a year ago, and what were her symptoms like? How did it affect the family? How did it affect your day and her day?
Yeah, so my daughter was diagnosed with autism when she was just about 3 years old. She's six now. And, we did all the things to help her get supports and just kind of get her, um, just those everyday things that are for typical kids that are pretty easy. And we were still really struggling with communication was probably the biggest one, just not being able for her to get her words out, to communicate her needs, her wants, and regulation was very difficult. She just kind of was all over the place, tantrums, meltdowns, you name it. And also just kind of the eating situation was very difficult. She's that typical kid on the spectrum where she eats, the five beige food groups. And
Right.
just trying to work in that whole realm of trying to get her the best supports that we could. And we kind of had hit a wall. We did OT, we did ABA, we've done speech for years, and there just seemed to be stuff that was missing. And I just kind of started diving into the world of homeopathic medicine for regular things, let alone autism. And I stumbled upon you guys, and we met about a year ago and just kind of laid it all out of these are the things that we're struggling on. She's about to go to kindergarten, and we just want to make sure we're giving her all the help that we can to give her, I like to call it like the tools in her toolbox. What can we give her to not change her and not make her someone that she isn't, but take who she is and, again, give her those supports. So that's how we started with you.
Well, thank you for giving us that background. And how have things changed in the last year? Like, where is she at now? Now that we've done a year of homeopathic treatment, like what have you noticed changed in her?
I would say the biggest thing is her speech and her communication. You brought to our eyes the whole FRAC test, which we had never heard about. And just learning about that, and then the fact that she was positive, made a lot of sense that, this is something that's in her brain that is not allowing her to communicate the way that she could be able to. And so after, figuring that out with you and starting the leucovorin with that and a couple supplements. I mean, her speech is phenomenal. I would say it was probably a couple months after we started it, but I mean, the conversations we have with her are just amazing. What she says, what she expresses is just it's crazy, and it's neat to kind of get into her world and to hear all the thoughts that she has, from being able to say I'm tired instead of crying, or I'm hungry, or this happened. That's stuff that a year ago was not happening. It was just there was no way for her to communicate that to us. So not only has it helped with just basic needs and an everyday thing, but also just hearing, just a typical conversation with a child has just been really phenomenal.
That's amazing. And how about what's the impact been on like tantrums? You mentioned that behaviors were really challenging before.
Yeah, I mean that's changed a lot too. She's able to, again, because of the communication piece, is able to say, this is why I'm upset, and or this bothered me and this is why I'm upset. And we had tantrums that lasted hours over, things that we felt were kind of silly, but in her world were huge things. And so now
Right.
when we have these meltdowns or, we get upset about something, it's like a 2, 3 minute, maybe five max thing. And she's able to express again what happened, why that's, was triggering for her, and then to move on. And yes, I mean, you just realize how important communication is for anybody, and especially a child, to be able to tell us what she needs or why things are bothering her has just been huge.
And get her needs met. And yeah, and as a parent, I can empathize with you. The difference between, an hour-long meltdown and one that
Yeah,
resolves quickly is the difference in your day going good or bad, right?
exactly. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and how about other symptoms like maybe sensory or restlessness or
Mhm.
focus? Like, how has she done with some of those things?
She's been doing really good. That's all has improved dramatically. There's still, no one's ever perfect or 100%, but I mean, just what we've seen thus far has been dramatic. She's in kindergarten now. She's thriving. She, has homework. She has all these tasks that she has to get done, and she's able to complete them, and she's able to be easily redirected if she does get off course, which again was something that a year ago would have not happened. So she's just an all around, just a better person, not a better person, but just, she's got those supports now that she's worked on herself and that we can kind of guide her as parents. And it's made a matter of a huge difference.
That's amazing. And at the center here, we like to help kids holistically, whether it's with the homeopathy. In her case, you mentioned the frat test, and she actually had an autoimmune inflammation in the brain at the folate receptor. So we helped her nutritionally and supplementarily with those things to make sure her brain was less inflamed and getting the nutrients it needed to develop speech and those kind of things. But with the homeopathic treatment, which is very holistic, we treat the whole person. And as I recall, she also had some physical symptoms, like her bowels didn't move very well.
Mm-hmm.
She was really constipated.
Yeah,
And how is that going?
that's going really well too. Just with the supplements that, you advised us on for her, just keeping up with that has just made a world of a difference as well. That no one wants to have tummy issues. And so it's always good to get that figured out and, get her relief, and that it's, kind of like not anything she even really thinks about anymore. It's just kind of a natural occurrence, which it should be.
Right, right, right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. How has your experience been here at Arizona Natural Health Center? Um, and what would you say to, let's say, parents who, maybe on the fence, should, I've done all the therapies, the ABA, the OT, the speech, and I'm just not sure my kid's just not getting, the improvement that I'm hoping for. And, is there something in natural medicine that could help them?
Well, our experience has been really great. Meeting with you once a month to kind of cater to what has been changing, and if we need to up certain things or we need to take it down. It's just been nice to see, the whole progression from day one up until now of just, continuing something and keeping eyes on it and things like that. So it's been a great experience. And I would say for people who are on the fence, you know I feel as a parent with a child with autism, everything is just kind of like thrown at you, and it's like, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. And, it may work or it may not. But this was kind of like our last thing that I felt was important for her. And, like I said before, we did all the things, and there was still stuff that just didn't seem right, and seemed
It
like
wasn't
there
there.
could, yeah, and that there could be a solution to it. And so yeah, I mean, I was on the fence for a little bit, but I mean, coming to the office and just kind of talking it through and realizing all the kids that you've helped before who have been in her situation, there really was no, worry. It was like, well, we've done all these other things. What's one more thing? And it's been a huge blessing to our family of just her, being able to do certain things that when you get that diagnosis, you don't know if your kid is going to do. And so it's just been a huge blessing, and it's just been great to see her kind of, flourish in her little world. So yeah, so definitely I would say, it won't hurt, and it's you do anything for your kid, so this is one of those things for sure.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm just tickled pink with how well she's done. I love hearing the stories, that she's doing so great in
Yeah.
kindergarten and all the improvements in
Hmm.
her speech and communication, and even as a doctor, we talk about everything. So I'm happy that she's pooping regularly, and like all those things make a healthy. They all make a healthy child, and when we want that gut brain connection, right? So
Yes.
when we look at everything holistically, a healthy, thriving child makes a healthy, thriving home. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story of inspiration and hope, and help us on our mission to help more children.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Have a great day.
Thanks.